Kumoko. Everyone's favorite kawaii spider and the central star of the show, Kumo desu ka? Nani ka, She's an interesting character and also incredibly psychotic in the best ways possible. Extremely entertaining. Let's talk about her. So a big point of interest in the show is the deal with Kumoko and her supposedly or seemingly slow decline into insanity. The thing that got me thinking about this was the whole theory that the ending theme of the show, particularly the stuff going on in it, is like her basically puppeteering the dead corpses of the monkeys she killed for entertainment value. Something like fucking insane and ridiculous, but it's a hilarious thought to think about. In a sense, she's stuck in a cave with like nothing to do except like fucking kill things. So perhaps she came up with a game by puppeteering their weird mangled corpses after she was done with them. Something insane like that. Is interesting. There's also the whole thing with her like talking to herself all the time. Like she literally has voices in her head that she talks to that are like different versions of herself because of that the skill that involved with those things. But it's like a funny thought. She's basically like going insane while she's in the cave. So is it any wonder why she's so homicidal all the time? This is just the inevitable process of being stuck in this dungeon for like as long as she has been and constantly fearing for her life. You go a little nutty in order to keep yourself sane, if that makes sense. Now, if you pay attention to Kumokos Behavior as the series sort of goes on and we go through the episodes with her in the cave and later as she escapes the cave, you notice her perspective on things or how she reacts to danger or even just minor threats such as people being in her vicinity is with absolute fucking death, kill on sight, death execution and whatnot. And this sort of borderline insane behavior we sometimes see from her is just the result of her being stuck in that cave for so long and dealing with all these dangerous threats that could kill her. Early on in the story, we see her sort of come to the realization, hey, I'm weak, I could die very easily, I need to get stronger. And she's constantly put in these like dangerous, deadly situations where she really has to like use her head to get out of it and has just faced death so many fucking times because of these things.
I can't do that, Nolan. I've faced death more times than I can count, but I'll be damned if that didn't put my balls in my throat.
From the very minute she was born, she was in danger. Her siblings cannibalizing each other, and even her mother eating other siblings, and just constant cannibalism everywhere. So she had to like bolt and get the fuck out of there just to survive. And then, running into other threats such as like humans and like other monsters in the cave that nearly fucking murdered her and killed her. So yeah, in order to psychologically deal with these scenarios, these situations, she went into this sort of mode of, I have to fucking do everything I can to survive, whether that means eating disgusting monsters that taste like shit, fighting and killing everything in sight to like ensure my survival, doing whatever I have to do in order to get stronger so that I don't have to face these threats anymore and be afraid. And that kind of gets carried over into other aspects of her behavior as she leaves the cave, or dungeon area, I should say. I keep calling it the cave. Probably one of the most symbolic moments that sort of represent this kind of mindset, this kind of do what I have to do to survive no matter what, no matter how far I have to sink in order to just maintain my own existence, is her battle with Araba, the Earth Dragon. In this fight, Kumoko faces death multiple times. She almost fucking bites it. Araba is fucking buff as hell, and if it wasn't for her own daring strategy and also some blind luck, she probably would have fucking bit it. And towards the end of the battle, after Kumoko had, for the most part, incapacitated Araba, even though Araba had a little bit of energy left to like fight back, you see him basically just kind of, chill out. He's like, hey, you've won, you can go ahead and kill me and whatever. And the most fascinating thing about this moment is Kumoko's reaction to that. How incredibly upset she was by that whole situation, and how he just kind of gave up. His life was, he just kind of like threw what life he had left. Somebody like her who spent so much time preparing and trying her best to just not die and to just live and survive, to her it was almost like an affront to everything she had been fighting for up to this point, that he would just give up like that. And you see her respond with her rant about like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? No, that whole thing. And it's really fascinating to see that mindset. Now, as she makes her way outside of the cave, we see kind of that mentality placed in the outside world and the effects that has. She wantonly slaughters bandits and elves that she deems to be bad guys without a second thought, or anybody that shows any danger or aggression to her. Like, she just outright murders them without a thought because her main concern is, survival and gaining stronger. And in a sense, when you've killed so much, you have to learn how to sort of diminish the value of the lives of the things that you're taking. So her mentality has sort of, you don't think about it because she's a monster in a cave fighting other monsters, but that mentality gets highlighted when she's killing humans and other elf creatures. Now, these guys are bastards, but at the same time, you have to think about how quickly and how easily she's able to just snap her fingers and just murder people without a second thought. And that I find incredibly fascinating. Something that, as a regular human, maybe back on Earth, she probably wouldn't have never done. She never would have probably just decided, hey, I'm going to fucking kill these people. But after being in a dungeon area for so long and having to murder countless other animals and monsters and even cannibalize her own species, she's built up this insane tolerance towards killing and death, aka she has descended to a level of madness that has allowed her to do all this crazy shit. You could say overall that this plays into the themes of Kumo desu ka, Nani ka, or Soma Spider, so what? It plays into that overall theme of how environment shapes people and how it changes people, or possibly accentuates certain qualities they may have depending on like where they were born and everything like that. Kumoko, she probably, again, like I said, she probably wouldn't have done this kind of shit on Earth with humans and people, but after being in a dungeon for like at least a year and having to deal with like monsters and threats on her life constantly, this is what she became. And you see this with the other reincarnated characters as well. Church girl became this religious fanatic. Yugo boy, he fucking lost his goddamn mind. He's out here brainwashing people. This ain't Japan, boy, that whole shit. You have all these various effects on them based on their environment. Some people growing up to be stereotypically good or heroic, like Schlein, and some people growing up to be fucking assholes or just neutral, I'm doing what I can to survive, like Kumoko. But yeah, that's basically the general gist of my analysis of the video. I definitely wanted to make this because in light of the recent spike in my subscriber count and audience thing, I've sort of felt a little shy about putting stuff out. The fear of possibly disappointing people who have decided to subscribe is like a weird yes, even though the fact that I have subs now doesn't necessarily mean that all of these people are going to be consistently watching and everything, though I definitely appreciate that you guys did go out of your way, like sub and whatever. I also want to make more comedy videos like that on, you know, anime I analyze and talk about. So hopefully you'll stick around and watch more of the stuff I make. So yeah, thank you for that. I really appreciate it and everything. I appreciate you guys, and that's basically the gist of it. Go read the Kumoko light novel stuff. Do the thing. And I'll see you guys later.